Good afternoon, everybody. My name's Giles Orr, and I'm one of EuRA's strategic consultants for education. Also joining me in the participant list is my colleague Nick Rattle, and we're here to talk about the peer-to-peer program that we've been piloting with EuRA. And I'll introduce the other people in a second that sat here. But basically, we've been developing a concept whereby industry leaders or those people working within this industry can help each other to solve their problems. This has been greatly supported by the EuRA board, and they've been helping us to develop a pilot with a small and select group of people, of whom we've got Susana and Michael and Jeremy with me as co-presenters. So thanks to them initially for taking part in the pilot, and secondly for coming here and hopefully adding some colour to what I'm going to talk to you about. There's a few slides to go through, and there will be space for questions in the chat. I think that's how it's going to work. And then there'll be some actions about how you could possibly signal your desire to want to join this program. So I'm going to talk through a few things around it. Hopefully I can share my screen and then we can make sure it all works. So if one of my participant colleagues can tell me that they can see the screen,
We
that's
can see
great. I've got a
it.
thumbs up. We're going to talk a little bit about why you're here as a participant to see this presentation. And then we're going to talk about what peer-to-peer actually is and how it works, and who's it for, because it may not be for everybody at the particular career stage that they're in or the situation that they find themselves in. Is it for you? Is going to be our final question, I think, of the session. And then there's a space on some questions through the chat, I think. So if that's okay, I'm gonna crack on and I'll ask people to join in and answer some questions that I pose to them. So we were about to play a video on why I'm here, which I'm hopeful most of you managed to see at Malta at the conference. I'd certainly know that we presented it a few times. We have some technical issues and the video isn't working at the moment. But it would have been great because you'd have seen these lovely people with me doing talking head moments about their experiences on the peer-to-peer program. So in a second, I'm going to come back and ask them to just quickly reflect on what we've been doing since I think it was October of last year. Very briefly, there is a quote in this video that I don't think any of the participants will talk about here, which is where Stuart says that it's quite strict, the program, and we'll come back to that as a concept as we go through. The second video that I was going to show was of me presenting at the EuRA conference and talking about this program. Again, we have a slight technical hitch with the video, so now you've got me in person rather than on video talking about the program. But anyway, so Jerry, you're a board member with EuRA, and you're also a participant on the pilot. How have you found it? What's it been like?
Well, thanks, Charles. It's been a blast. We've been at it for what quarter now, more than 3 months. I was lucky enough to be the first one to put into the group my own personal issue that I was facing and get feedback from the group. It's been very helpful for that particular issue, as well as kind of an eye-opener for other potential issues. From my perspective, this group, and that's why we decided to sponsor it as the board, is really a way to combat loneliness. It's quite lonely at the top, and you face issues when you're, as I am, the sole owner of your company, that you don't really have an equal party to discuss with. So it's been really helpful to have that avenue, that group of small group of people under your patronage, Charles, as you said, it's quite strict in terms of methodology, but that really sets the stage for um, in-depth thinking about the issue. You get the point of view of somebody that's sharing your position, but maybe not sharing your view on the issue, and that's really been very helpful. When you're the leader of a company, you can discuss some issues or you can discuss issues to some extent with your team, but some of them are really of bounds. So really, that's been quite helpful for me. I hope you're going to get the same feedback from Susanna and Michael. But frankly, it's been quite the ride to be a participant.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jeremy. Yeah, I'll come back to Susana and Michael on slightly different aspects in a moment. And thank you for saying that unprompted. The interestingly, Jeremy there picked up on the kind of concept of the sessions about people helping each other and having that kind of discussion in a trusting and formulated environment. What it actually is, and on the slides you'll see, is that what we do construct is a limited number of sessions that last for about 90 minutes. Then they're not arduous in terms of timescale, and primarily engineered so that the start of a day where everybody's feeling fresh and refreshed and not quite into the working in the office and answering the phones and those kind of things, so that people can concentrate and think about how they're going to be part of this group in these 90-minute sessions. It's a very small number of participants. We look for between 6 and 8. There were 5 in the initial pilot. People meet roughly every 4 to 6 weeks. It's a very flexible calendar, but it is the same group of people meeting all the time, and that's a high level of commitment for people to support each other. It's a key concept within this, that the people in the program hold each other accountable for their commitments, their energy, their thinking, and how this works. Lot of action learning concepts within it, but with a slight flavor that myself and Nick have worked up over a number of sessions. Jeremy did say that I'm, under my watchful gaze or wherever we're in this program. Also, my colleague Nick, equally as experienced in developing and delivering these. Susana, can I come to you and ask how you found the actual sessions and the timings of things? Has that worked for you, given the fact you're, obviously a busy professional?
Yeah, I think it's not really that long. So you have to take some time to actually be in the meeting, but they're an hour and a half. It's very doable. The groups are small enough that you feel confident enough and comfortable enough to be able to share some of these issues because, obviously as I mean, I echo everything that Jeremy said, but basically you are alone often, and it's just good to have other people that may have the same problems or may have ideas or may have gone through the same problems to come forward with some ideas, and it's basically a sounding board. But I don't feel that the timing I don't think it takes too much time out of you, and you come away with some good information and some ideas that you may or may not be able to put forward. But I think the numbers, keeping the numbers low is very important. And the fact that we don't spend more than an hour and a half at a time every X months. So I think it's very well done. The fact that you're coordinating everything and guiding us through it is also very helpful and very strict, as Stuart says. But no, I think it works very well for me.
Great. Thank you, Susana. And Michael, I haven't forgotten you. I will be coming back to you shortly, if that's okay. So, in broad concept, it's a program of getting peers together for 90-minute sessions, roughly every 4 to 6 weeks. And it helps people to develop that trusted circle of people, friends, colleagues that they can talk to about some of the issues that maybe they couldn't discuss in the workplace or with colleagues, direct colleagues, because you're a leader. You're meant to know all the answers. You're not meant to be asking the questions. So how does it actually work? It is quite strict. I'm going to get this put on T-shirts that everybody's going to wear when they take part in these sessions. It's not strict. We have a set of rules and commitments that people follow. And as people become more experienced through the program, it becomes much more relaxed, and the nudging and the interventions that happen from there are much more gentle. So we're going to talk a little bit about the concept behind it, and then how it's actually structured in terms of a program. The concept, and many of you will know a lot about action learning. We may well have taken part in action learning programs yourselves. Is about this accountability within the group, and that people learn better through the actions of doing rather than just being taught elements. It's about understanding and engaging. What we're trying to do is build a culture within the group that comes together to work within some very key facets around their trust, their openness, their honesty between each other, how supportive they are of each other, and how committed they are to that group. Be at every session, be open, be there with an open mind. You're not being judgmental. And part of this very much is about giving of yourself. In any session that happens, there is one person who's explaining something that's very difficult for them, and they want to feel as though they're in a trusted environment. But equally, the person sitting there is giving their full attention and their time in order to understand the issue that's been presented to them, to reflect on some of the implications that sit within it, and to provide some kind of guidance, solutions, thinking about what's going on. So there's a lot of building this community of this small group of people in order that actually what we're aiming to do is get people to help each other. And that works best when we have these concepts drawn together in the program. The structure of the sessions themselves is relatively straightforward within certain parameters and processes that are facilitated to ensure that things work properly and we get the best results we can from this. So a presenter will talk through their issues, and sometimes we ask for these to be shared one sheet of A4 briefing notes a few days before the session, so people can get their mind into what we're talking about. What's interesting is that you are giving that discussion about your issue or challenge, and the floor is completely yours. You can talk about any aspect of it you wish to. You can talk about how you can describe it, how you feel comfortable describing things. And the other participants will sit there and listen closely to what's being said. And once the presentation, it's not a presentation, the conversation, the presentation by the person has concluded, there is then space for the other participants to ask questions. And these are questions of fact. And this is always the fun part of the facilitation of these sessions, is that everybody wants to give an answer instantly. Oh, I've done this and I've seen that and I've done these things, and shouldn't you be looking at this? That's not the point. The point here is that we are asking for questions of clarity. Factually, what has happened, because the expert in this is the person that's raising the challenge, because they know all the minutiae, the details and those kind of things, and probably haven't covered them in their presentation because they're time limited things to say. So the panelists can ask those questions of clarity without making suggestions. There's then time for the individuals to reflect. We normally go off and get a cup of coffee so that people can just go off and get their thoughts in order and consider what they've heard. And then the individuals in the panel take turns to make feedback, suggestions and comments to the person who set the challenge, who listens to them, and they can be wild and as wacky as we like, but it listens to the suggestions that are brought back and gives their immediate feedback about what they thought of some of the suggestions that have been made and the way the conversation has gone. And the part of the accountability is held for the next session, which is where the start of the next session will be, well, what happened since you had your session and 4 to 6 weeks have gone on, and what have you done in terms of the things that have been said. Now, Michael, I know that we're not going to go into the details of what your issue was at this point, but I do know that you found the process of the questioning and also the period afterwards quite instructive to you in terms of how you then move forward with the challenge that you were facing. Would that be fair?
Absolutely. And I think Stuart was the one commenting it's strict. And it is absolutely part of this picture, and maybe the biggest part also the when the individuals ask questions of clarity. When, as you said, the person raising the question is probably the expert, been thinking and looking at this problem or challenge from all different angles for some time. So when I came in with the challenge that we had during this part of the discussion, I was able to see the challenge, the problem from so many different angles. It's a pretty enlightening process to have. Then, of course, going through the rest, and you get the suggestions and everything. And as you said, for me, and I imagine for everyone else, you leave these sessions with a bunch of tools that some you thought of yourself already, some are absolutely new, and then you have this period in between to start looking into your challenge using these tools, and it's an excellent setup.
Fantastic. Thank you, Michael. Michael makes that crucial point about how you take these tools that you may well have been presented with, but equally you may have already had some thoughts about your solutions, what it can do. And sometimes this group just validates those ideas because it's always useful to bounce the ideas of other people to test them to see if that's going on. And, a lot of the time the solutions or the appropriate solutions are already there in your mind, are already playing through, and it's good to have them tested and brought through. So the program itself is designed for people to each have a go at this. It's depending on the number of people that are taking part in the group. Everybody has a go to put their challenges forward, to have them explored. I think the key thing in this is not just here's the challenge, here's the solution. It's also the taking part in the questioning and providing the solutions. That enables you to build this kind of culture of trust and deepen your engagement with the people in the group. What's it like, Jeremy, being the person that has to that when you sat at the panel listening to somebody? How do you find that as an activity?
I mean, it's almost as insightful as bringing an issue and getting, if not a solution, at least another way of thinking about the problem as you would have on your own. I think being used as a sounding board, to take Susana's words out of the mouth, is quite useful as well. You get to see issues that you don't face. So at times it's very interesting to know the problems you don't have, but also it's a good way to look into your business from a different perspective. I'm circling back to the idea of being alone, but there is some aspect of tunnel vision. I mean, if you're facing the same issues over and over again as a leader in your company, then maybe you're not seeing, or you're missing the problems you don't think you have, but you may be having. There was a couple of times where this happened during the sessions for me. So it's one of those kind of projects where you get out of it as much as you put into it yourself. and you get as much from the issues you bring than from the solutions you might bring to the table as well for the others.
Thank you. Thanks, Jeremy. And that's the key part of being part of this group, that you sit there and listen to these things. So that's broadly the concept of building an environment of trust where people can have these open and honest conversations where they couldn't normally have elsewhere. And the structure is we have these sessions that run like this. But the question there comes, we've had this pilot group.
We have one question in the chat that actually touches a little bit on
exactly. I was about to go into this. Thank you, Michael. Michael, keeping me accountable on this. Yeah, and don't forget, if you do have any questions, please put them in the chat. And as you can see, my colleagues here will pick up if I have missed any and can't answer straight away. The question that comes up is, who is this for? We've had a pilot group. Obviously, we've got some really influential leaders from across Europe as part of the EuRA family that have been taking part in this. The question is, who is this for? So we are looking in the initial stages to, we'd like to say, make this applicable for anybody who could deal with, could benefit from taking part in this program. The dynamics of the group is really important. It's how we make sure that some of the structural things, like it's not competitors, it's not people from the same group, those kind of things are dealt with, so those things don't happen. But equally, that they fit between the individuals is also good. It's never perfect. And we also reserve the right throughout all of this, even when a group is moving, to move things around, because we always reserve the right that some things may not work, some things may not fit, and we reserve that right to change things around. But the challenge we've been set by the EuRA board is this just for leaders? Is it just for those individual leaders of, in this case, DSPs? Has it fit with RNCs? Has it fit across the country? Are there other people involved in this? Also, could it support emerging leaders, people who are moving their way up through the industry, and could they work together in peer groups and actually have lived longevity within the industry through doing those kind of things? Could it be broken by geographic areas? I mean, I know that within the global mobility industry, there are companies in geographic areas that do share information and talk to each other. I would postulate it's not quite in the same process that this is, in the way that this is meant to work and build that community of trust. Could we do things around gender? Could we do things to support particular or other specific groups within the community? The answer to that is possibly. We don't know until we get the request from people to say how they'd like themselves to be seen in this program. What do they see themselves as emerging leaders? Would they be interested in the geographical area? What are the interests that people have? So is it just for leaders of DSPs? No. But we are concerned that we build robust groups that work well together and don't have commercial conflicts that sit with that, which is why in the process is the registration and a payment of fee. The registration is to register your interest, and so that we know who you are, and that we can possibly then have a further conversation with you. And the payment of the fee is obviously to make that commitment that you want to take part in this kind of program. We will then select and group according to individual fit in a group. Long words to say that we will look at the applicants and the registrations. We will look at some of the requirements that they have, and we will be in contact with people as they register to understand where they fit within this and what the kind of things are that they would like to see, possibly through interview, certainly via emails, etc., to make sure that we get this right, because there's no point running this program through if the grouping isn't right and the people don't gel together, and they're not in parts of the world or the industry or whatever it is that don't fit properly. So you will register and pay a fee, and then we'll start the process of trying to build a group around you. If somebody says, look, we've already got a group like this, but it's very informal, we could do with some facilitation, we could really do with the shaping that goes on with it, then let us know as well. If you can identify 5, 6 other colleagues that you're already engaged with and want to work with, then please do so. Let us know, and we will try and make things fit. Hopefully that answers the question. Michael, is that answering the question that was in the chat?
Tracy was the one asking, so.
If anybody can speak or put
Yeah,
something
she
in the
said
chat,
yes.
that's good. Yeah, great. Thank you. That's kind of trying to multitask here and failing badly. So that's who we're hoping this is going to be for. Is it for you as an individual to take part in this? I would wholeheartedly say yes. The benefits, as you've heard from the people around the table, huge, far beyond being on a learning program. But you have to make significant commitment. You have to commit to ensuring confidentiality within the group. You have to attend every session. No substitutions. Like all those conferences you go to, all the training, but you just send somebody along and they'll be fine. No, it's the people. I mean, obviously life happens and people can't attend certain sessions, or we have to move dates around to suit people and things like that. That's fine, but you are making the commitment to attend wherever possible. And I will ask for medical certificates if necessary. That's a joke. Sorry, by the way. You have to make a positive contribution to each session. You have to come with an open mind and be non-judgmental, and to put forward your best suggestions and put on your best approach to listening. And this is part of the facilitation process, is that we try and ensure that everybody has an equal voice in the sessions, that everybody gets a chance to ask questions, to consider, to make their suggestions, because this is about everybody being equal within this group, regardless of their status in the hierarchy. This is a group for individuals, and we facilitate it to be like that. And you will be obliged at some point to present a challenge that you need help with, and may include a briefing paper to start with, to kick that off. Nothing is too big and nothing is too small in terms of the challenges. We've had some really interesting ones, and actually all the ones that start out going, well, no, this is going to be really small, and it's like that. They've turned out to be some of the most interesting conversations we've had about how these small things can have great meaning in terms of running a business or being part of a business and making decisions within that business. The price for taking part is €900 per person. There is a discount, I believe, for if you remember, a premium member, discounted to €750. That will enable you to take part in all the sessions with your group. There's an introductory session and a wash-up session at the end normally for these. So depending on the group size, tells you the number of sessions that happen. I think it's a great opportunity for people to explore different ways of understanding issues and challenges that they have, to be supported and challenged by their peers who've got lots of experience and may have other ways of looking at things. I think it's also an opportunity for you to learn skills, listening skills and speaking skills to take into work whenever and however you take that into those organizations. I think is an incredibly useful part. I'm going to go around the table again of people here just to give their summaries and their thoughts on where we are now and how they hope others may benefit from it. Just how do you then signal that you'd like to take part and be interested in this? So there is a web page which keeps shifting slightly, but I think is now up and live. There's a QR code there for you to use, which if I've worked Google properly, it's the right page. Otherwise, you can blame Dom or Bryony for that. No. Right at the bottom of the page is the black button to say booking, and that's where you would go to register your interest.
Link seems to work.
Yeah, very good. Michael's testing it already for me. So that's how you would join. So register your interest. We'll start to look at the people that are registering their interests. We will then have discussions. We will then build the groups going forward. They will last. And thank you for Bryony for putting up the link. They last about 8 months, depending on the number of people and how often we schedule the meetings and things like that. So it's quite a commitment, but it's deliberately designed so that there are gaps between the sessions so that people can implement some of the ideas that have come forward. There's time for reflection, and it doesn't feel like a burden that, oh, it's Tuesday again, I've got to do this. It's enough to make it interesting and people wanting to take part. So I'm going to leave a space for questions if any more questions want to come through on the side, and no doubt Bryony can pick those up and talk to me. But to Susana, we've talked about some of the benefits and some of the things that have gone on. I mean, could you see yourself taking part in this going forward in another group, or this group keeping it going over a period of time?
I would certainly consider doing it again, because for me, not only, I mean, I haven't had yet my chance to put my issue forward, so I'm really looking forward to that. But I have got so much out of listening to other people. Sometimes you don't even think that you're doing things properly, what you think is really good, and then you hear other people, and you think, maybe there's more than meets the eye. There's other people that have different challenges that you may haven't even thought about, and you may apply to your own day to day. So, I mean, I think it's really interesting, not even just explaining your concerns or your issues, but listening to other people. So yes, I think I would join. I'd give it a break for a while and see, but for sure I would be happy to join again if the opportunity arose.
Brilliant. We haven't put you off then. That's
No, not
really
yet.
good. Yeah, it's good. Actually, I was just reflecting on the point.
But also, I think this type of teaching training is so much. It's more beneficial than just getting a textbook and somebody going through things with you, because it actually it's real life situations that are happening around you, so you can really take those with you and apply them there and then or the following day or whenever. So yeah, I think it's really good.
Absolutely, and it's all about the learning. That's my role as an education consultant for EuRA, and hopefully for everybody else who wants to maintain their approach to learning. I was just reflecting actually on the slide before where I was talking about the commitment, and we will remember a session that we had not so long since where Michael treated us to the joys of driving around Copenhagen through the sunroof of his car, on the basis that he issues with dialing in and things like that, but he was still so committed to be part of the meeting that he joined us in his car, and we got to see all the rooftops of Copenhagen as he drove through. So that was fantastic commitment. You get the gold star for that one, Michael.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, it's great. Does that feel like a pressure though, Michael? The fact that you've got to, this thing is coming in, I've got to take part, and does it feel like a chore, or does it feel like something you enjoy doing?
No chore. And one of the slides or one of the questions that you had before there was if there's a group already now where you discuss these things. Just like to comment on that a little bit, because you can have, of course, you have people within the industry that you spend more time with for many reasons. And at times you discuss ventilate challenges and problems with them as well. What was different with this group is the efficiency of how you get to the root of the problem. You really analyze the challenge that you have on a different level than you would over a couple of beers in Malta, for instance, with some few peers. So even if you considered the program, but you're thinking, I already have the contacts and I have the ones in the industry that I regularly reach out to and exchange ideas. Yes, absolutely. This is that discussion, but a little bit on steroids. It's the framework and the setup and the guiding makes it so much more efficient. So you have those discussions and you get to the root of the problem with all the solutions very much quicker than you normally do if you send a mail to someone asking some questions. So it's not an investment in time rather than spending time. Is my summary. It doesn't take time. It actually adds time in a way because you get to the solution so much faster.
Brilliant, thank you. So
Yeah.
many sound bites in there. I'm glad this has been recorded because I can go back and look at these and see how it's going.
Giles, there is another question.
Yes, I just picked it up now that says, am I correct that we will register and list our problem areas and then EuRA will find someone to help and guide, form a group of all individuals who are looking at the same issue? So we will be looking to draw groups of like-minded for all the criteria that I said before, people together. The issues themselves actually aren't that important at forming the group. This is about getting the right group of people together with the right area, the criteria I spoke about, and getting the right dynamics working within the group. And then people will bring the challenges to the group. This is not a single issue group. This is not exploring something for the next 6 weeks. This is, as Michael said, a very efficient way of having a challenge that an individual is facing, explored, understood, and some potential solutions brought forward. This is not a long drawn out 8-month, let's examine this to death. This is about developing actions that are implementable in the short term to deal with some of the challenges that people bring up. So once you've registered, we'll be in contact to understand, obviously, some of the areas that you're interested in, but actually it's more about who you are, where you are in your career, what kind of areas of work are you in the industry are you involved in, not so much the problem areas, because they will come from you into the group. And we've had many and varied different things brought up, as I said, from the small to the large, which have been interesting. So any more questions coming through? Okay, thanks, Javier. So before we pack up and say thank you to everybody for taking part in this and listening to me rattle on, I do a lot less talking in the sessions, and my colleague Nick also does a lot less talking in the sessions as we go through this. Is there any final thoughts from Jeremy, Michael, and Susana? So, Jeremy, I'm going to come to you and ask you if you've got quick final thoughts. Thank you.
Mm-hmm. So, as a way to showcase how the input you get from the group might not be stemming from the issues that you bring, I'm going to steal Stuart's own take on it. Well, if it doesn't like it, he should have been on this call. But he called that group the board you can't afford, and I think that's really spot on. Having been part of the EuRA board myself for 3 years now, I think Susana, you can echo that, but that's really a personal growth experience. Doing the peer-to-peer project so far has been quite the same. It's really looking at the issues that you face in different light, seeing some issues that you didn't know you had. So it's really a great opportunity for growth. I think the two main components behind those opportunities are stemming from the way the groups are created. So the curating that goes into putting the group together well, which is again not based on the issues, but more based on the personalities, based on a whole set of criteria that only you, Giles, and Nick know about. But there's really some kind of magic there, and also obviously the guidance that you provide throughout the sessions. It's quite strict, and that's basically what we pay for, because that's the way we can move forward in the right way. So that's my personal take on the whole thing.
Brilliant. Thank you, Jeremy. And I forgot to mention, of course, congratulations, new vice president of EuRA. So thank you very much for joining us. Susana, any final thoughts?
No, I think it's more or less been said. I think it's a really good initiative, and thank you for all of those of you that came up with it. And I think if anybody can and wants to it's a great opportunity.
Right, thank you. And Michael.
It is difficult to come last after that, but as I said before, it's not a time consumer. It's an investment rather than anything. You can get to, if you're open, if you make the investment, and I'm not talking about the money. There will always be new money in one way or another. But if you do make the investment in time and open with your challenges, you will walk away from it with the sums. The sum is bigger than the parts, as an English expression that I don't remember, but you get my meaning. You get much more out of it than you invest. Absolutely.
Brilliant. Thank you so much, and thank you everybody for their time and their questions. We set out this with the board to test the pilot and then launch in Malta to say, EuRA wants the individuals of the industry to be able to benefit from this kind of activity because, as you said, it's a growth opportunity for individuals to also have some challenges explored. But I think Michael said it best. It is fully an investment in developing yourself and the way that you work and the way that you approach things. So EuRA will be keen to hear from you and to gather the registrations. We will talk to the people that do register to understand the areas that they wish to come from and where they're coming through. We hope to be able to set up groups quite quickly. This all takes a little bit of time in terms of getting the right groups together and arranging calendars and all that kind of lovely housekeeping stuff. But we'd be really excited to work with you. From a facilitator's point of view, I get to meet some great people, and also to get a great insight into what the challenges are like in the industry, and formulate the thinking, and also to help formulate future training for EuRA that can assist the industry in moving forward. So please take part if you can. We're here if you've got any more questions. Look at that. Well done, Nick. Get in touch with us via EuRA, and we'll be here to answer any questions that you do have. Can I just say thank you to Susana, Michael, and Jeremy for taking part in this. And I hope everybody's got the information that they want. There'll be a recording of this webinar available shortly. So can I say thank you all very much, and I hope to see you soon.
Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Yep. Bye-bye.
Thank you very much. I shall end the session now. And,
Thank you. I didn't know how to get out.
See you all soon. Cheers.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you very
Cheers.
much.
Bye.
Bye.